For 6 long years, Fred Beck and his fellow miners had been prospecting in the dense, rugged wilderness surrounding Mount St. Helens and the Lewis River in southwest Washington. They were seasoned outdoorsmen, accustomed to the challenges of the frontier. Yet, something in these woods felt different, something unsettling. From time to time, they would come across enormous tracks by the creek beds and springs, tracks that defied explanation. The largest of them measured a staggering 19 inches long, far too large to belong to any known animal. The unease among the group grew each time they encountered these signs. But it was Hank, an experienced hunter and woodsman, who seemed most troubled by what they had found. It was mid-July of 1924, and the men were working their gold claim, the Vander White, located 2 miles east of Mount St. Helens. Their spirits were high. They had just received a good assay, and the promise of gold was within their grasp. But their excitement was tempered by the strange noises that had begun to haunt their evenings. For about a week they had been hearing peculiar sounds, a shrill, almost otherworldly whistling that echoed from one ridge to another, as if some unknown creature was communicating across the vast wilderness. There was also a deep, resonant, thumping sound, like something massive was beating its chest in the distance. The sounds were unnerving, a reminder that they were not alone in these woods. One evening, Hank suggested to Fred that they go to the spring, about 100 yards from their cabin, to fetch water. Given the strange occurrences of the past few days, Hank insisted they take their rifles with them, just to be safe. As they approached the spring, the quiet of the forest was suddenly shattered. Hank shouted, his voice sharp with alarm, and raised his rifle. Fred followed Hank's gaze, and his heart skipped a beat. Standing about 100 yards away, on the other side of a small canyon, was a creature unlike anything Fred had ever seen. It was tall, perhaps 7 feet, and covered in blackish-brown hair. The creature moved with a strange, almost cautious grace, dodging behind a pine tree and peering out from the side as if it were studying them. Without hesitation, Hank fired his rifle. The crack of the gunshot echoed through the canyon, and Fred saw the bark fly off the tree as Hank fired 2 more shots in quick succession. The creature, seemingly unharmed, retreated into the forest, moving with surprising speed. As it ran, Fred raised his rifle and fired 3 shots of his own, but the creature quickly disappeared from view, vanishing into the dense undergrowth. The men hurried back to the cabin, their minds racing as they recounted the encounter to the rest of the group. They were all in agreement. It was time to leave. Night was approaching, and they knew better than to risk a journey through the wilderness in the dark. The plan was to wait until morning, but a growing sense of dread hung over them as the light began to fade. Nightfall found them huddled inside their makeshift cabin, a simple structure built from pine logs. The sounds of the forest were different now, charged with an ominous energy that made the air feel thick with tension. And then, just after midnight, the terror began. A tremendous thud slammed against the cabin wall, jolting the men from their uneasy sleep. The ground outside seemed to tremble under the weight of heavy, thudding footsteps, as if a multitude of creatures were moving around the cabin. The sound of rocks being thrown against the roof followed, a relentless barrage that rattled the walls and sent the men scrambling for their guns. Peering out into the night, the men could make out only fleeting shapes, tall, hulking figures moving swiftly among the trees. They counted 3 of the creatures together at one point, though the sound suggested there were many more. The creatures pounded against the cabin, trying to force their way inside. Every time the men fired their guns, the creatures would momentarily retreat, only to return with renewed fury. For hours, the siege continued. The men fired shot after shot, the sound of gunfire blending with the growls and thuds that surrounded them. The cabin shook under the assault, but it held. Contrary to later reports, the roof did not cave in, though small rocks continually pelted the structure, hitting with loud bangs before rolling off. The attack finally subsided as dawn approached, leaving the men exhausted but alive. They had survived the night, but the experience had shaken them to their core. The creatures had disappeared as suddenly as they had arrived, leaving behind only the wreckage of their assault and a sense of dread that would stay with the men for the rest of their lives. In the safety of daylight, the miners packed up their belongings, their decision to abandon the claim unanimous. They left Ape Canyon behind, their hearts pounding with every step as they made their way down the mountain. When they finally reached civilization, they shared their harrowing tale, one that would soon spread far and wide, becoming the stuff of legend debated and analyzed by skeptics and believers alike. But for Fred Beck and his fellow miners, it was not just a story. It was a night of sheer terror, a brush with the unknown that they would never forget. In the end, the truth may never be known. The men involved in the Ape Canyon incident stood by their story for the rest of their lives. But without hard evidence, the event remains one of the great unsolved mysteries of the Pacific Northwest. The cabin involved in the incident no longer exists due to the eruption of Mount St. Helens in 1980, which significantly altered the landscape, leading to the destruction of all cabins and structures in the area. While there have been claims of rediscovering the site, no surface evidence of the original cabin remains. As the years passed, the story of the Ape Canyon Attack became a staple of Bigfoot lore, with some researchers delving deeper into the mystery, proposing theories that stretch the limits of conventional understanding. One of the more intriguing, albeit controversial, ideas to emerge is the theory that Sasquatch may be an interdimensional being. The interdimensional theory suggests that Sasquatch is not merely a physical creature, but one that has the ability to shift between dimensions or realities. This concept, while far-fetched to some, offers a compelling explanation for the elusive nature of the creature. Despite countless sightings and encounters, concrete evidence of Bigfoot's existence has remained frustratingly elusive. Could it be that Sasquatch is able to disappear at will, moving in and out of our dimension, leaving behind nothing but fleeting glimpses and eerie encounters? Moreover, this theory adds a new layer of understanding to the indigenous legends that have surrounded Ape Canyon for centuries. The stories of ape men or forest spirits could be interpreted as early accounts of encounters with beings that do not fully belong to our world. Perhaps these creatures have always existed just beyond our perception, occasionally crossing the boundary into our reality, only to retreat before they can be fully comprehended. While the interdimensional theory remains speculative, it captures the imagination and offers a tantalizing possibility that Sasquatch is more than just a relic of the past. It may be a being that defies the very laws of nature as we understand them. Whether this theory holds any truth or is simply another layer to the legend of Bigfoot, it ensures that the mystery of Ape Canyon and the creatures that allegedly inhabit it will continue to captivate and mystify those who dare to explore its dark depths. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more captivating tales of the unknown. And don't forget to comment below. What do you think really happened that night in Ape Canyon? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Stay tuned for more mysterious encounters and spine-chilling legends. Thanks for watching.